Hi there people, it's Illustrator and Casper here. Today I've gone to nature, I've gone to Ama because I'm on the hunt for objects. What kind of objects? I'm not sure yet. I have an idea about finding some interesting looking branches or some interesting looking rocks or whatever my eyes might find interesting. And then when I come home I'm gonna take these objects and I have some acrylic paint, which is some scrap paint that I want to paint these branches with, or rocks, or whatever I find, and try to see if I can find some faces or some kind of inspiration in these branches. Come and join me for this treasure hunt here, and let's see what we can find.
My good old Canon told me that I ran out of power, so I did not get some footage of all the branches I found on my trip. But here are the collection. I leave them to dry for about 2 days so I can discard potential rotten branches and make sure that the paint will be applied on some wood that is actually good and dry. 2 days later I start to debark the branches, as the paint will then be more likely to actually stay where I want it to on the branches. And then time for some idea generation, and this following was shot completely improvised to show an honest brainstorm, where I let myself be guided by intuition and the spirits of the woods.
So first off, the pine cone here could be beautiful just to paint it in patterns and have each kind of thing sticking out here in separate colors, sort of a dotted pattern. But also I'm thinking of maybe something with a hat. Could be quite fun. It could also be a hut, so that we have this up here working as a roof actually. But also actually it could be an owl also. I think if you just look at it this way, you kind of have a beak almost, and maybe the eyes up here. Yeah, I think I'm gonna settle for an owl actually. That would be kind of fun. And then we have this fella here, this long stick here. Could be a walking stick. Could be a gun. Nah. Could be a building. Nah. It could be. I've watched a film recently called Benny's Top. It's a Danish classic animated film, very much in the spirit of the 60s or the 70s, and there's a seahorse in there, and I think that, keeping in with an animal theme, the owl, it could be a seahorse actually. I think the eye here maybe, and then play around with some wonderful colors on it. Yeah, seahorse. And what about this fella here? Can it stand? No, not really. What about like this snow hanging from the air? You know what? We'll make this to a snake, I think. So we have kind of an animal theme here. Let's paint.
To my disposal I have some scrap paint. These are actually all made for wood and metal, but I'm sure that normal acrylic paint would be just fine. I have 4 colors in all: a light blue, a cobalt blue, a very light red, and a green color. And I'm going to start out with painting the owl. While that dries, I'll give the seahorse a layer with the light red. While that dries, I start on my little Eden slither here. He's going to have stripes of blue and green. I think there's a wonderful thing about being constrained to work here in, for instance, just 4 colors, because then your creativity is tickled. You have to play to get around, and it's also quite liberating as you don't have to decide so much. The decisions are almost already made for you. My seahorse is not completely shaped like a seahorse. It doesn't matter. This was a joy to make these patterns of little dots on it. So much fun. Little Snaky gets an eye. Let's round up and take a look at how these things all ended up. The owl here is by far one of my favorites. I love the expression, and it will absolutely go on the Christmas tree next year, or maybe be resting in a nest in another decoration. Snaky, he ended up not in Eden, but on my drawing desk, where he will kindly serve as my muse in the future. And what about the seahorse, you ask? She, I feel like saying, ended up being a mobile, and I actually made another one, a baby seahorse, which I tied to the seahorse mother. It's a bit difficult to see, but the baby has some green dots on it, which are particularly wonderful. But yeah, you gotta kind of see it in some good light to be able to see those dots. One final thing that did not make it into my camera was this decoration here. A really nice branch, which was actually an instant mobile or decoration, I think. I decided to paint just a couple of the pine cones to make it play up against nature's colors, and I'm really surprised of the result. I think they look really well together, and it's a very festive way to decorate your door, I think.
Thanks for tuning in, people. I can only recommend to go out in nature and pick up some branches and then just paint on them. My goal with this video was to show that you can use a few objects from nature and just a few scraps of paint, which I assume that most people have in their household, and just in an old brush, and then you're good to go. And I think it was really fun to have that constraint that I was only allowed to work in these colors that I had. So I had to kind of be creative with just using these colors, and that was a lot of fun. And sometimes being constrained is what gives you the creative freedom. Yeah, thank you for tuning in, folks, and I'll see you next time. Until then, have fun painting.